The research vessel Celestial Observer hung in orbit around the newly discovered planet Earth, its crystalline exterior reflecting the pale blue glow of the world below. Inside, lead xenobiologist K stood before the High Council's projection, their forearms gesturing animatedly as they presented their preliminary findings. Distinguished Council members, what we've discovered on this planet defies all known biological principles, K said, their bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. The dominant species, which calls themselves humans, possess biological characteristics that should be impossible. The Council members' attention crystals glowed brighter, indicating their increased interest. K brought up a holographic display of various human dietary habits. These creatures can consume almost anything organic. Not just one type of food, not just 10 types, but thousands of different species and substances. They can extract nutrients from plants, animals, fungi, even fermented and processed materials that would be toxic to most life forms we know. K played a recording they'd captured from their cloaked observation pod, a human entering what they called a restaurant, consuming multiple dishes containing completely different biological materials, all in one sitting. The Council members' crystalline forms vibrated with disbelief. That's not even the most remarkable part, K continued, bringing up more data streams. They can digest these varied substances using a single digestive system. Their stomach produces acid strong enough to break down complex proteins, but somehow doesn't destroy itself in the process. Their intestinal bacteria, which they live in symbiosis with, can adapt to new food sources within days. One Council member, Elder Mel, raised a crystalline appendage. Are you suggesting these humans don't need specialized diets? That they don't have strict nutritional requirements like every other known species in the galaxy? Exactly! K's spots flashed brilliant blue with enthusiasm. They can survive on almost any combination of organic matter, as long as it contains certain basic nutrients. They've even developed methods to preserve food through chemical processes, extreme temperatures, and controlled decomposition, processes that would render sustenance inedible for most species. The Council chamber filled with the soft chiming sound of astonishment. K displayed more recordings, humans consuming frozen substances, then immediately drinking hot liquids, eating foods preserved for months or even years, combining sweet, sour, bitter, and spicy elements in single meals. But surely this makes them vulnerable? Another Council member asked. Such a flexible system must be prone to failure? K's spots dimmed slightly. That's the most fascinating part. Their digestive system is remarkably resilient. They have multiple layers of defense, stomach acid that kills harmful microorganisms, an immune system that adapts to new threats, and even the ability to forcefully expel harmful substances through various means. They can recover from most dietary mistakes within days, sometimes hours. The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. These humans weren't just another species. They were biological anomalies, defying everything the galactic community thought they knew about life itself. There's more, Kay added, their voice dropping to a reverent tone. This is just the beginning of what makes humans unique. Their thermal tolerance, injury recovery, and endurance capabilities are equally baffling. I request permission to continue our studies, discreetly of course. Elder Mel's crystal structure pulsed with the formal pattern of approval. Granted. But maintain absolute observation protocols. If these humans are as adaptable as you suggest, we need to know more before considering any contact. K's spots glowed with gratitude and anticipation. As they left the Council chamber, they couldn't help but wonder, what other impossible features would they discover about these remarkable beings? The humans had already overturned centuries of biological certainty. What other surprises did they have in store? 3 cycles had passed since K's initial presentation to the Council. The xenobiologists now stood in their private research pod, surrounded by holographic displays showing various human activities. Their assistant, Rem, monitored incoming data from their surface observation drones. This can't be correct, Rem said, their crystalline form clouding with confusion. The same human group went from a temperature-controlled building at 294 Kelvin to immersing themselves in water at 277 Kelvin, For entertainment? Kay's spots pulsed with confirmation. Yes, and that's not even the most extreme example. Watch this. The display shifted to show humans in what they called a sauna, voluntarily exposing themselves to temperatures that would cause most species' proteins to begin denaturing. Then, incredibly, the same humans would jump into nearly freezing water. Their temperature regulation is unlike anything we've ever seen, Kay explained, bringing up comparative biological charts. Most species can handle a temperature range of about 10 Kelvin before requiring technological assistance. Humans? They can survive, even function, in temperature ranges spanning over 100 Kelvin. Rem's form vibrated with disbelief. But how? Their bodies maintain a constant internal temperature through multiple mechanisms. They can sweat to cool down, actually using evaporative cooling like some kind of organic temperature regulation system. When they're cold, they can generate heat through muscular movements. Their skin can adjust blood flow to conserve or release heat as needed. The displays showed humans in various environments: frozen tundras, scorching deserts, humid rainforests. In each setting, humans not only survived but built thriving communities. Look at this, Kay continued, highlighting a particular recording. These humans are running a marathon in external temperatures of 308 Kelvin. They're sweating profusely, but their internal temperature remains stable enough to maintain consciousness and complex motor functions. Any other species would have shut down their non-essential systems long ago. Rem moved closer to the display, their crystal structure refracting light in patterns of amazement. Is this why the Council approved your extended research request? Partly. Kay's spots dimmed slightly. But there's something else that's even more intriguing. We've detected that humans can intentionally adapt to temperature extremes through repeated exposure. They call it acclimatization. The holographic display showed a time-lapse of human thermal imaging data. See how their bodies adjust over time? They can actually modify their physiological responses to better handle temperature extremes. It's like their entire species has built-in environmental adaptation protocols. That's impossible, Rem whispered. Biological systems should be fixed within certain parameters. Apparently, nobody told the humans that, Kay said, their spots flickering with amusement. They seem to routinely ignore what we consider biological limitations. And this temperature adaptation isn't even their most remarkable feature. Kay brought up a new set of data streams, these showing human injury recovery patterns. Their spots pulsed with intense excitement. We've only scratched the surface of their capabilities. Did you know they can repair broken bones? Not just heal them, their bones actually regenerate and can become stronger at the break point. And their ability to recover from soft tissue damage. A sudden alert chimed through the research pod. One of their observation drones had detected unusual human activity. Kay and Rem turned their attention to the incoming feed, their forms rigid with anticipation. Speaking of impossible things, Kay said, their spots glowing brighter, you might want to record this. What we're about to see could revolutionize our understanding of human endurance capabilities. As they watched the new data stream in, neither Kay nor Rem noticed the small warning light blinking on their pod's cloaking system monitor. In their excitement over the new discovery, they had no way of knowing that their own presence was about to become part of a much bigger story. The observation drone's feed displayed a group of humans participating in what they called an ultra-marathon across a brutal desert landscape. Kay and Rem watched in stunned silence as the humans continued running hour after hour, their bodies adapting to the extreme conditions. This shouldn't be possible, Rem said, checking the readings for the fourth time. They've been in continuous motion for over 20 hours. Their muscles should have failed hours ago. Kay's spots pulsed with intense blue light. That's what makes humans so fascinating. They're persistence predators. They evolved to keep moving long after other species would collapse. Look at their energy management system. The holographic display showed detailed bioscans of the runners. Their bodies were actively breaking down fat stores, managing lactic acid buildup, and continuously repairing minor muscle damage, all while maintaining movement. But how do they keep going? Rem asked, their crystalline forms shifting in confusion. Even with their remarkable temperature regulation, the energy expenditure alone should. A sharp alarm cut through their discussion. The cloaking system warning light had changed from yellow to red. K. Rem's voice carried a tremor of concern. I think we have a problem. The humans' radio telescopes, they're picking up anomalous readings from our position. Impossible. K moved to the system controls, their forearms working rapidly across the interfaces. Our cloaking technology is based on principles their science shouldn't be able to detect. Unless. Rem brought up a new data stream. Unless they're not detecting our cloaking field directly. Look at these readings, they're tracking minute gravitational distortions. Their scientists are more advanced than we anticipated. K's spots flickered with worry, but their scientific curiosity won out. Add that to the list of their impossible abilities. Not only can their bodies achieve extraordinary feats, but their minds. They gestured to the new data about human scientific advancement. They've gone from discovering basic radio waves to detecting gravitational anomalies in less than 2 centuries. The speed of their technological progression is almost as remarkable as their biology. The display shifted back to the ultramarathon runners. One had fallen and injured their knee but was already getting back up. Watch this, Kay said, their concern about detection momentarily forgotten. See how quickly their emergency biological responses activate? Their bodies release pain-suppressing compounds, increase blood flow to the injured area, and begin tissue repair, all while the human continues moving. They ignore their pain signals? Rem asked, incredulous. Not exactly. They acknowledge the pain but can choose to override their body's natural stop signals. It's as if their consciousness can selectively override their biological preservation instincts. The fallen runner had resumed their pace, joining the others. K's spots pulsed with different colors as they analyzed the data. Most species have clear limitations, points where their bodies simply shut down to prevent catastrophic damage. Humans have these too, but K brought up comparison charts. Their shutdown points are far beyond what should be survivable, and they can consciously push even those boundaries. Another alarm sounded, more urgent this time. K. Rem's voice was tight with anxiety. They're focusing more telescopes on our position. 3 separate Earth observatories have logged our gravitational signature. They're beginning to triangulate our location. K's spots dimmed slightly as they made a decision. Contact the Council. They need to know about this development. But first. Their spots brightened again as they looked at the human biological data. Help me secure these files. If we need to leave quickly, I don't want to lose any of our observations. The Council needs to understand what we're dealing with. As Rem began the data backup process, Kay watched the ultramarathon runners pushing through their 31st hour. In all their cycles of xenobiological research, they had never encountered a species like this, one that treated supposedly universal biological limits as mere suggestions. The warning systems continued to flash red, but Kay couldn't help wondering, if humans could achieve such impossible things with their bodies and their science, what else were they capable of? Perhaps being discovered by them wouldn't be the disaster the Council feared. Perhaps it would be the greatest scientific opportunity in galactic history. The Council's emergency transmission filled the research pod with harsh, crystalline light. Elder Mel's form shimmered with barely contained agitation. Your position has been compromised. The Elder stated, their crystal structure pulsing red. The evacuation order is non-negotiable. You have 1 planetary rotation to complete your withdrawal. Distinguished Elder. K's spots flashed urgently. We've barely scratched the surface of human capabilities. Just today we've discovered something extraordinary about their healing abilities. Show me. Elder Mel interrupted, their tones suggesting both annoyance and curiosity. Kay quickly brought up their latest findings. The holographic display showed medical scans of human bone structures, muscle tissue, and cellular regeneration patterns. Humans don't just heal injuries. Kay explained, their spots bright with excitement. They come back stronger. When their muscles tear from extreme use, they rebuild with greater density. When their bones break, They regenerate with higher calcium deposits at the fracture points. Even their skin. K highlighted a sequence showing accelerated scar tissue formation. It adapts and toughens in response to repeated stress. Rem, monitoring the Earth's communications channels, added, they call it getting stronger. Their entire physical structure adapts to prevent future damage. The Elder's crystalline form shifted, indicating reluctant interest. While fascinating, this doesn't change. There's more. K interrupted, their spots pulsing rapidly. We've discovered why their scientific advancement is so rapid. Their neuroarchitecture, it's unlike anything we've seen. The display shifted to show human brain activity during problem-solving tasks. Brilliant patterns of neural connections formed and reformed in endless combinations. Their brains physically restructure themselves as they learn. New neural pathways form constantly. They can literally rewire their thinking patterns through practice and study. And their information retention. K's spots flickered with amazement. They can store and process incredible amounts of data through something they call abstract thinking. A warning light flashed again, more urgently this time. Rem's crystal structure clouded with worry. K, they're launching a new type of scanning satellite. The trajectory will bring it within detailed sensor range of our position in approximately 6 hours. Elder Mel's form hardened. You see? They're already hunting you. The evacuation order stands. But Elder, K protested, their spots dimming with desperation. There's something else we've discovered. Something that changes everything we thought we knew about consciousness itself. The display changed again, showing human brain activity during social interactions. They have specialized neurons that activate when they observe others' actions and emotions. They call them mirror neurons. These humans can literally simulate others' experiences in their own minds. They can imagine, predict, and understand experiences they've never had. How is this relevant to our current crisis? Elder Mel demanded. Because K's spots pulsed with intense blue light. It means they might be capable of understanding us. Their brains are literally wired for empathy across species. We've observed them forming deep emotional bonds with other Earth creatures that bear no biological similarity to themselves. They can interpret and respond to alien patterns of behavior and emotion. The Elder's crystal structure vibrated with uncertainty. K pressed their advantage, bringing up more data streams. Their adaptability isn't just physical, it's psychological, emotional, and social. They can learn, change, and grow in ways we never imagined possible. If we establish contact. Absolutely not. Elder Mel's form flashed brilliant red. The risks are. Another alarm blared through the pod. Rem's crystal structure paled. K, they've launched 3 more satellites. They're creating a detection net. And. Rem hesitated, their form clouding further. They're broadcasting something. A signal. It's directed right at us. K's spots flickered as they processed this information. The humans weren't just trying to find them anymore. They were trying to communicate. Elder Mel's transmission crackled with static. Your orders are clear. Withdraw immediately. Do not. The transmission cut off abruptly as a new message appeared on their communications display. The symbols were crude by their standards, but unmistakably intentional, a simple mathematical sequence, followed by a question mark. K looked at the human brain scans still floating in the holographic display, at those remarkable mirror neurons firing in patterns of curiosity and understanding. They had 1 planetary rotation left. The question was, would they spend it running away, or making history? K stared at the mathematical sequence on their display, their spots pulsing with conflicting emotions. The human message was simple, the first few prime numbers, followed by a question mark, but its implications were enormous. They're not just detecting us, K whispered. They're reaching out. They want to communicate. Rem moved closer to the display, their crystalline forms shimmering with nervous energy. What do we do? The Council's orders were clear. Were they? K's spots flickered thoughtfully. The transmission was cut off. We don't know what Elder Mel was going to say next. K. Rem's tone carried a warning. You know what they were going to say. We should be preparing for immediate evacuation. Instead of responding, Kay brought up their latest research findings. The holographic display showed a detailed analysis of human social structures and problem-solving capabilities. Look at this, Remington. When humans face new challenges, they don't just rely on individual adaptability, they form groups with specialized knowledge. They combine their mental resources. They call it collaboration. Kay's spots brightened. It's how they've advanced so quickly as a species. They build on each other's ideas, creating what they call collective intelligence. That's fascinating, Rem conceded. But irrelevant to our current situation. Is it? Kay gestured to the transmission display. They've already demonstrated mathematical reasoning. And look here. Kay brought up recordings of human space programs. They've only had basic technology for a few hundred years, yet they're already reaching for the stars. They've sent their own primitive probes beyond their solar system. The evacuation timer blinked in the corner of the display, 18 hours remaining. Kay made a decision. I'm going to respond to their message. Kay! Rem's form clouded with alarm. That violates every protocol. The Council will. The Council sent us to study new life forms. Kay interrupted, their spots glowing with determination. No one expected we'd find life forms like these, beings who can adapt to almost any environment, heal from incredible injuries, process diverse foods, and potentially understand alien thought patterns. The old protocols weren't designed for this situation. Kay began composing a response, the next numbers in the sequence, followed by a simple geometric pattern. We need to inform the Council, Rem insisted, their crystal structure vibrating with stress. We will, Kay assured them. But first, I want more data. If we establish basic communication, we can learn so much more about them. As Kay sent the response, they brought up another research finding. Did you know humans use something called fiction? They deliberately create false scenarios to explore ideas and emotions. They can model countless possible futures in their minds. It's how they prepare for the unknown. The display showed humans engaged in storytelling, reading, and creating art, all activities that had puzzled the research team until they understood the connection to human adaptability. They don't just react to their environment, Kay explained, their spots pulsing with excitement. They actively imagine how to change it. They dream, plan, and create in ways we've never observed in any other species. A notification chimed. The humans had responded to their message with a more complex mathematical sequence. They understood. Kay's spots glowed brighter than ever. And they're expanding on the pattern we sent them. Rem hesitated, then moved to join Kay at the communications display. This is still against protocol, they said, but their tone had softened. But I admit, I'm curious too. Over the next several hours, the exchanges continued, progressing from mathematics to simple symbolic language. Kay recorded everything, preparing the most comprehensive report the Council had ever received. If they were going to face consequences for this decision, they would make sure the scientific value was undeniable. Kay, Rem said suddenly, their form brightening with realization. Remember what you said about human mirror neurons? Their capacity for empathy? I think we're seeing it in action. They're not just solving our puzzles, they're trying to understand our thought patterns. The evacuation timer now showed just 6 hours remaining. Kay's spots pulsed with a new pattern, one of resolve. It's time to contact the Council, they said. But I'm not reporting on our evacuation status. Their spots flashed with intensity. I'm formally requesting authorization for First Contact Protocol. Rem's crystalline form vibrated with shock. They'll never approve it. No species has ever qualified for first contact so quickly after discovery. No species like humans has ever been discovered, Kay replied, their spots steadily glowing. And I have the data to prove they're ready. The council chamber was silent as Kay's report concluded. Their holographic projection stood before the assembled elders, spots pulsing steadily as they awaited judgment. Behind them, a display showed the continuing exchanges with the humans, now including basic symbolic language and conceptual diagrams. Elder Mel was the first to speak, their crystalline forms shifting between colors of concern and fascination. You directly violated evacuation orders. Yes, Elder, Kay acknowledged, their spots dimming slightly in respect. But the scientific opportunity could have been pursued through proper channels, Elder Mel interrupted. Yet, their forms softened, displaying a pattern Kay recognized as reluctant admiration. Your data is compelling. Another Elder, Vox, moved forward. These humans have responded to your mathematical communications with remarkable speed. And these patterns they've sent back. The Elder gestured to a complex sequence. They're not just repeating, they're innovating. Testing the boundaries of the communication. Exactly. Kay's spots brightened with excitement. They're attempting to establish mutually understood concepts before moving to more complex exchanges. It's a methodical approach to cross-species communication that mirrors our own first contact protocols. The council chamber hummed with the soft sound of crystal forms vibrating in discussion. Kay waited, aware that the evacuation deadline had passed 2 hours ago. The humans had noticed their continued presence and were still sending regular transmissions, increasingly complex and varied. Elder Mel's form stabilized into the formal configuration of official judgment. Lead Xenobiologist K, your actions violated direct orders and potentially exposed our civilization to an unpredictable species. However, the Elder's tone shifted. Your findings represent the most significant xenobiological discovery in 10,000 cycles. The chamber grew completely still. Kay's spots pulsed slowly, waiting. The Council has reviewed your first contact request, Elder Mel continued. Based on your extensive documentation of human adaptability, problem-solving capabilities, and potential for cross-species empathy, we have reached a decision. Kay felt their central core temperature rise in anticipation. Provisional first contact status is granted, Elder Mel announced, their crystal structure glowing with formal authority. You are authorized to proceed with limited information exchange under strict protocols. The full council will arrive within 7 cycles to evaluate further contact. Kay's spots exploded with patterns of joy and relief. Thank you, distinguished elders. I won't disappoint you. See that you don't. Elder Mel's form hardened briefly. Remember, despite their remarkable adaptability, these humans remain an unknown variable. Proceed with appropriate caution. As the council transmission ended, Kay turned to find Rem already preparing the formal first contact message templates. Their crystal form glowed with an excitement that matched Kay's own. I never thought I'd witness this, Rem said, their voice vibrating with emotion. First contact with a completely new species. Not just any species. Kay's spots pulsed proudly. One that defies everything we thought we knew about biological limitations. Together, they composed the official greeting, translating it into the symbolic language they'd established with the humans. The message explained who they were, why they had been observing Earth, and proposed a formal meeting between representatives. I wonder how they'll respond, Rem said as they prepared to transmit the message. Their unpredictability is both their most fascinating and most concerning trait. That's what makes them so remarkable, Kay replied, their spots forming patterns of deep appreciation. They can eat almost anything, survive extreme temperatures, heal from significant injuries, and constantly adapt both physically and mentally. They imagine meeting beings from other worlds long before they had proof we existed. The transmission was sent. Almost immediately, multiple human communication channels lit up with activity. Their response came faster than expected, an acceptance of the meeting proposal, along with a flood of questions that made Kay's spots pulse with amusement. See? Kay gestured to the incoming messages. Their curiosity matches our own. Perhaps that's the most important similarity of all. As they began coordinating the details of humanity's first official alien encounter, Kay couldn't help but feel a profound appreciation for the strange, adaptable species that called Earth home. These beings who could eat almost anything had turned out to have an equally voracious appetite for knowledge, a trait that Kay understood all too well. Whatever happened next, the galaxy would never be the same. In their quest to understand the impossible biology of humans, Kay had inadvertently opened the door to something far more significant, A meeting of minds across the stars, united by the simple, powerful drive to understand the unknown.